Hello everybody and welcome to Car Confections. Now today marks a special day in our ownership experience of this vehicle sitting right beside me. My wife and I bought this car 3 months ago, and 5,000 miles later we have quite a lot to share. Now Genesis is of course a new luxury brand, so do we have big regrets after 3 months? Let's go ahead and find out. So let's dive right in. Now, 3 months obviously isn't a super long time to own a vehicle, but it certainly is long enough that you can get a good feel for the overall ownership experience of this 2025 Genesis GV80. Now, unfortunately, my wife wasn't able to join us in this video today because she is at work, but the video will be divided into several different categories. We'll first start by talking about any problems or recalls that we've experienced so far. We'll talk about some general annoyances. We'll also talk about the overall cost to own this Genesis GV80, and then we'll also share a couple good moments that we've had with this vehicle so far, and then conclude everything. So let's go ahead and get to it. So first we've got to start by talking about the problems that we've experienced so far in the GV80. Well, it's going to be a pretty short list. There's actually been no problems in our book in the first 3 months or 5,000 miles that we've owned this vehicle, which I have to say is incredibly impressive. Now, for those of you that follow the channel, you know that we review cars for a living, so it's very rare to find a vehicle that you can really find no build quality defects, no rattles, no tech issues, or anything like that. Is very impressive. But I do have a quick something to point out. And what is that one little thing? Well, when we first bought the vehicle, this actually didn't have the latest and greatest Genesis software that gives you things like wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. So, of course, at the dealership, they were like, well, let's go ahead and initiate an over-the-air update to get you that latest software. But when they initiated that, it didn't update very quickly, that's to say the least. And it kept popping up an error message that said a navigation software problem may exist. Take to the Genesis dealership. So we had definitely some trouble initially updating this to the latest software with wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, which is certainly a feature that my wife and I very much appreciate. Thankfully, it did actually update, but it just took about 4 or 5 days to update over the air. And then ever since then, we've had wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and they have worked absolutely flawlessly, even over long periods of time. Now, of course, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer and only talk about the negative things, but I do want to point those out first. And let's move on to some of the general annoyances that we've had with this car since we bought it. We went ahead and pop the hood because we want to talk about the fuel economy of this model. Now, we purchased the 2.5-liter turbo 4-cylinder GV80. It's actually the one up from base trim level, the Select. And overall, the fuel economy is not that impressive, unfortunately. Even though it's not the V6 that you can get in the GV80, it's still only rated at 19/24/21, and that's certainly what we've been experiencing in the real world. This 4-cylinder certainly isn't super efficient, and rivals like the BMW X5 with their inline 6-cylinder certainly outperformed this GV80, even in the 4-cylinder variant, which I think is a little bit annoying, although we did know that before we bought the vehicle. And guys, aside from that, that's all we have to complain about, which certainly is a testament to the Genesis brand. I mean, like I just said, we review cars for a living, so kind of finding those little nitpicks and gripes is something that we're very good at doing, and the fact that I can't really come up with much else other than those small things that we've complained about so far is a testament to this vehicle. Now, we want to go ahead and move on to the overall cost to own for this GV80. Now, one of the great things about the Genesis brand is that they do include 3 years and 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. That does mean that we haven't spent a dime when it comes to overall maintenance of this vehicle. Genesis recommends its first service at 8,000 miles, which we're not quite at yet, but that will certainly help alleviate that maintenance cost. Now, when it comes to insurance, we do also have a little bit of news to share when it comes to that. We were expecting the insurance to be a little bit more expensive than it is. It only added around $783 a year to our policy, so this GV80 wasn't all that expensive to insure. And now we've got to move on to the great moments. This is where I like to camp out and spend a little bit more time because we've really enjoyed living with this product for the last 3 months, that's for sure. And I want to start by talking about Digital Key 2.0. That's something that we have on this Genesis GV80, and it's actually kind of a funny story, but we set up the digital key system and it's actually worked so well that we've forgotten our keys many times, actually. Multiple times we have completely left the entire house and had 0 keys and didn't even realize it because Digital Key 2.0 works so well. As you approach the vehicle, it works exactly the same as a key fob. It goes ahead and folds the mirrors out, the doors unlock. You don't have to do anything special whatsoever. It fully functions as a key, and overall, it's been absolutely flawless in its experience. Now, another great moment we've had so far was on our road trip. We actually took this on a family vacation to Jacksonville, Florida, which is around 750 miles each way. And this vehicle just has tons of space and a ton of comfort. The suspension is tuned super softly, so overall the vehicle itself was really comfortable over that extensive road trip. All the seats were super comfortable. And as a matter of fact, we actually took this Genesis GV80 as well as our other long-term Toyota Camry, and everyone was trying to fight to see who could get a seat in the GV80 because this is a lot more comfortable of a road trip companion than our Camry. So overall ownership after 3 months and 5,000 miles, do we have any big regrets from buying from the Genesis brand? I have to say, absolutely not. We would buy this again in a heartbeat because everything we liked about this car originally has been absolutely flawless in the first 3 months and 5,000 miles that we've owned it. Certainly, there's still a lot more to experience in terms of the overall ownership. We plan on keeping this car for 100,000 miles, so certainly there's a lot more life ahead of it, and we look forward to fully testing that out. But in the first 3 months, this is certainly a very promising luxury experience, that is for sure. And I kind of want to point out a couple different things when it comes to the overall Genesis brand. We've bought a lot of different cars. We review cars for a living, after all, and this is the car that I've gotten the most surveys on. I've gotten like 20 surveys in my email inbox, which to me tells me that Genesis is constantly trying to improve upon the ownership experience of this vehicle, and I've taken the time to fill out all of those surveys so they can know what experience I'm getting. And guys, that's all for the first 3 months. As of now, we have no regrets. And if you're at all interested in buying a Genesis product or a GV80, we would certainly recommend you hit that subscribe button down below. We'll be making a ton more videos on this car as we own the vehicle, talk about maintenance costs, all of the question marks that you might have about the Genesis brand. We hope to answer on this channel, so you won't want to miss out on that. If you're looking to buy a GV80 or any new vehicle, we'd also encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while dealership negotiating. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that down below in our video description, as well as a pinned comment at the top of this video. And guys, that's all for our 3-month ownership. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please subscribe down below. And if you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. You make this all possible. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.